Horizon Forbidden West is very close. We're literally counting the days now, and tomorrow is finally the day we find out if the game lives up to the hype thanks to the review embargo that Sony has set, and also followed by Friday, which is the big day of the release. But until then, we have a lot of new gameplay details and exciting features to go over, including, yes, the possibility to fly. By the way, there's still time for you to take part in my giveaway of Horizon Forbidden West Deluxe Edition. Just follow the links in the pinned comment, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have those notifications activated, and I'll reach out to the winner at the end of the giveaway. Anyway, first things first, get ready for launch, maybe clear out some space because the preloads have started since this Friday, and the game is rather big, between 87 to 97 gigs depending on your region. And if you pre-order the game on the PlayStation 4 version, you're still going to get that PS5 upgrade for absolutely free, but that's most likely only going to happen on launch day. In the meantime, reviews will be going live tomorrow, February 14 at around 12 AM Pacific time. So on that note, I would really like to know what is your final score prediction. Like, I'm definitely expecting at least a 90, possibly closer to 95, and I wouldn't rule out the possibility for this to be a game of the year, but as always, cast your comments down below. Now, of course, on top of that, we also have some brand new gameplay, and it looks quite exciting. Now, we had a huge tease at the end of the cinematic trailer from a couple of days ago, where we saw a pretty big hint pointing out to flying mounts in the Forbidden West. We can see Aloy reaching out to one of the sun wings, most likely to override it. As the next shot, it can be seen that the machine is staying behind her and just like acting as a companion. And then the trailer finishes in the next shot with what seems to be them getting ready for flight. Well, if that wasn't a huge hint by itself already, we also now have official confirmation thanks to the latest PS Mag issue in Brazil that yes, flying mounts are totally a thing in Horizon Forbidden West. So there's a section of text right here that, when translated, says the following: many machines can be converted into allies in the Forbidden West, including the flying ones. That's right, you can ride flying robots now. Unfortunately, enemies can't use winged machines like how Aloy does though. End of quote. And it sounds like you're going to roam the skies alone. It doesn't seem that regular enemies will be able to override any creatures except the ground ones, like for example the Tremor Tusk or some of the Claw Striders, but it does sound pretty fun. We definitely wanted this in Zero Dawn, but there were technical limitations. Well, I guess they finally implemented that in Forbidden West. Now, on top of that, Sony has also featured some more PS4 gameplay, and so far I'm quite impressed by how Guerrilla Games was able to create a pretty stable and performance-friendly game that still looks absolutely incredible. Obviously, it's probably not gonna be as amazing as it is on the new gen consoles, but in this fight against the Tremor Tusk, and of course also taking a look at the armor set, it looks pretty incredible. In this one, we can see the machine using two new types of attacks. One of them is shooting large balls of slow traveling electricity that tracks Aloy momentarily and also deals massive AoE damage on hit. Kind of reminds me a bit of all the particle effects and the beams and the energy attacks in Returnal for some reason, but it definitely seems to be quite overwhelming and something that you probably want to take down from the enemy's back. Later on, the Tremor Tusk can also be seen hurling large rocks towards the character, and here is where Aloy's agility and access to the grappling hook comes into play, making your combat way easier and giving you more opportunities to disable the enemy in combat. Also, pay close attention to the quick menu screen in the same video, as there's a first look at how the summoning of a flying mount actually works, or at least looks like. After overriding it, it's likely going to appear in your quick menu, just like how any other machine that you can summon will appear, and in this case we can again see the icon of that sun wing. It's interesting to see what gameplay possibilities this new mechanic will create, and I wonder if there's any unlockable skills like in the first game that will let you summon a permanent machine without having to first tame one in the first place. Like, I kinda wanna know if that's going to work on flying mounts too, or just on the ground ones. But of course, I also wonder if there's any combat capabilities, like being able to do something cool, maybe some cool trick shots from jumping on a flying mount or anywhere in between. Also, speaking of brand new features, we had a glimpse into the melee pits and salvage contracts. Now, melee pits are sets of challenges where you can test your skills with the spear, usually against human enemies, and you can find these in most of the settlements in the Forbidden West. Now, they appear to be on a much smaller scale than the arenas that we know you go ahead and fight against some of the deadliest machines machines in the game for some of the best rewards in the game. So I kind of wonder what melee pits have to offer on top. Most likely some types of upgrades that are exclusive to this arena. On top of that, we also had a glimpse into salvage contracts and how they work. You basically pick these from certain NPCs either around settlements or some of the smaller locations in the game, and then you have to track down certain machines for specific rare components. Again, this looks pretty interesting, but of course let's also take a look at some other new game options and of course other settings that you can apply for the game. Now we do know that Horizon Forbidden West will feature 5 difficulty levels and of course a custom difficulty setting kind of similar to how it was in The Last of Us Part 2. So you're going to have access to a story mode, easy, normal, hard and very hard difficulty, but there's also that custom difficulty that gives you the possibility to adjust the damage levels that Aloy deals and also receives to and from enemies. There's also an addition to an easy loot system, like any resource component that is attached to a machine when killed will now get added automatically in its inventory when you kill and then loot it, which removes the need for manually detaching these parts during combat moments, which otherwise get destroyed if the machine gets killed without you looting that in the first place. So this is only going to be activated by default in the story and the easy difficulty, and it's an option to be activated in the custom difficulty, which means that for the rest of them you're going to still have the same system in Zero Dawn where you have to detach these separately, which is something that you're going to want to do anyway, since this also disables like combat powers for these machines anyway. Visually speaking, the game looks absolutely amazing, especially on the new gen, but you're going to have some options in there to reduce some of the annoyances. Like personally, I hate motion blur in games, but I'm glad that there's a possibility to not just reduce the motion blur in Horizon Forbidden West, but also completely turn it off. And the same goes for the camera shake. We also have a first look at how button mapping works. The default button layout is quite similar to that of Zero Dawn, but there are other presets in there for other layouts, including for left-handed support. And on top of that, there's also a fully remappable control scheme. This means you can pretty much rebind certain keys to certain actions, and the game will even give you hints if there's any possible conflicts when you remap them, which means you're gonna be able to like just play the game exactly how you want it. I think that that is an amazing change. Anyway, just a matter of hours at this point until we find out how the game is and how it fares, and just a few more days until we get to play it ourselves. Again, just let me know down below what is your score prediction, and I'll see you guys in the next video.